Hey there, welcome to Polite PvP, and this is going to be my first YouTube video, and I think I've picked a pretty good one to start off with. I want to really get into this thing that's going on. It's like a big thing. There's a lot of negative reactions. If anyone's really been keeping tracks of the PvP stuff on WoW, then they'll know what I'm going to say before I finish this sentence. Mercenary Mode. So what is Mercenary Mode? Mercenary Mode is going to be basically an NPC is going to appear in your faction base. If you're in Alliance, it'll be in Storm Shield. If you're Horde, it'll be in War Spear. And this is basically going to allow you to queue as your opposite faction. Now, I've spent the last couple of nights looking at a few different videos, Asmongold, Heal versus Babyface, and there is a lot of negative reactions to what is potentially a brilliant idea. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who's going to be like, oh, but it ruins immersion because I want to play Alliance, and which is fine. If you want to continue playing Alliance, you have the ability to still play as an Alliance character in a battleground. It just means you're going to wait for a queue that's still going to go down for you because other people are going to be like, oh, I want a quick queue. I'm going to queue as Horde today. Or if you're Horde and it's the other way around, I'm going to queue as the Alliance because I want a quick queue. It still means that your queue times as the Alliance player is still going to go down, because the queue's just going to balance out. So I don't get this huge issue with the immersion that people brought up. Like, another issue that I think it was Heal versus Babyface brought up in his emergency ads chat was like, some guy asked Law, can I queue with my friends that are on the Horde this way? And Law just replies with no. Again, this is only intended to alleviate queue times. It means that says absolutely. Oh, this really irritated me. I'm not gonna insult the guy, but he openly said that, oh, this means that you're not going to be able to queue with your friends. No, it means you can't queue with people on the Horde if you're an Alliance character, and if you're a Horde character, you can't queue up with people on the Alliance side. This is purely for you and your friends if you want to queue as Horde if you're playing Alliance, and as Alliance if you're playing Horde, to get that faster queue time. Again, that's not going to impact other people who don't want to do this. Only thing it's going to do to them is lower their queue time because there's now less people from their faction queuing for that battleground. So this seems to be a win-win scenario. I don't see why there's such a negative reaction. So let's move on to how I'm seeing this. Like, personally, I'm a big fan of this idea. I'm not that bothered by having to queue as a Horde player if I'm playing on the Alliance. If it means I'm going to get a faster queue for what I want to do, I'm paying money to play this game. I'm not paying money to sit in a queue for 2 hours. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go away for a bus. I'm British. I'm excellent at queuing, but I really want to come across with this as a great thing. This is a great idea. Star Wars: The Old Republic, they had a similar plan where you could actually have the same faction facing the same faction so that the queue times were reduced, because who doesn't want to play a Sith that can shoot lightning out of their hands instead of the Republic Jedi who's just going to throw a rock at someone's face? It's not half as cool. More people were playing the Sith, so the Sith were taking forever to get battlegrounds. I'm probably wrong, by the way. It was probably the other way around. Everyone wants to be a Jedi. Who am I kidding? But it fixed their issue, and I just can't understand why people have got such a negative view on what Blizzard's doing as this opportunity. So what's actually going to happen if you queue up as your opposite faction? Well, pretty simple. You're going to become a race that's allied with the Horde. I'm queuing as a Night Elf warrior. I'm probably going to become a Tauren warrior. They have this technology in the game already. If anyone's seen the toy, the Orb of Deception, I'm pretty certain they're just going to use the same system, only you're going to be a literal race transfer. You go from a Night Elf, which has the Shadow Meld, the extra 2% extra speed, the crit and haste buff that's completely random and absolutely useless. What was you thinking, Blizzard? To being a Tauren with the 2-second stun or whatever the Thunder Stomp thing is, and the extra health. The only race I see this being a problem with is with humans. They said that, Law has put that they're trying to find a way of doing this so that people don't find themselves completely a situation where, oh, I'm going to queue up as the Horde today, I should probably spend 2k on getting a decent trinket because I'm going to have to use a free action trinket from that. I don't know how they can come up with a way to fix that, short of actually saying we're going to give every man for himself to everybody and remove the medallion trinket out of the game and just run with it so that it's just something that everybody has. Then you don't have to balance it. There's never going to be an issue where, oh, well, what if they're playing a horde character? They don't have every man for himself, so they're not going to have 2 DPS trinkets. How do you balance that class? Everyone would have it, or everyone doesn't have it, so everyone would have to get the medallion. Either way you look at it, it's going to fix the problem that they're facing with this current situation. Racials have become a bit of a sacred thing. Like, I think Heel vs Babyface mentioned that it's the last bastion of individuality for picking a faction or a class. You know, it's the only thing that hasn't been homogenized. Night Elves are still going to be able to get that extra vanish if you're a rogue, or if you're a druid, you get a vanish, well, I suppose an extra vanish, because Incarnation, who the hell doesn't take that as a feral druid, so I can just permanently stun lock you for 12 seconds. Yeah, balanced. But, like, why can't they just find a way to either mirror racials so that every race has got its own mirror that has the same racial? Or just look at PvP and go, okay, so this racial's particularly overpowered in PvP, let's either remove it or give it to everybody so it balances out, so everyone has the same option. Why are Blizzard like making this difficult for themselves? Like, I get that there's a certain amount of, well, I want to use like individualism that the races should have. Like, okay, it makes no sense that a big Tauren's going to mysteriously vanish out of sight for a few seconds, or until it moves. But they can do that as hunters anyway, right? So it's not like a completely foreign concept. Or, I don't know, let's look at the Worgen with Darkflight and the Goblins with that leap. Like, when you look at the distance covered, the Darkflight is a massive, massive buff in comparison. So, like, they need to find a way. Okay, give them its own racial tweak, perhaps, but it doesn't mean it can't be the same ability. Like, having it so that Darkflight for a Worgen just makes them run really fast on all fours, and then for a Goblin they get the rocket boots like out of Engineering, where they run really fast for a specific amount of time. I don't see how that's going to be a massive issue. Look, I just don't understand why so many people are getting really, really hyped up, really hating on this idea that they have for making it so that you can queue for the opposite faction to reduce queue times, because that is all it's going to do. It's going to reduce queue times. Even if you're going to be stubborn and say, no, I rolled an alliance, I want to play an alliance, it's still going to reduce your queue time, because somebody else is like, fuck waiting for 2 hours, I'm going to go queue as a horde. That's one less person in your queue. Now, that's not a bad thing. Look, let's not get stuck on the whole racial argument. Let's not get stuck on, oh, but it's going to break the immersion because now the Alliance are going to sit in a horde battleground and just fuck it over for everyone by not doing the actual tactics, not following the plan. That happens anyway. All they're hurting is themselves. They're making it difficult for themselves to get what they want. And if all they want to do is sit there in queue to just gimp over an entire battleground, then that's another problem that Blizzard need to address. That's nothing to do with the queue times. That's just another problem for another day, in probably another expansion, knowing how long it takes Blizzard to fix things, seeing as we're now in year 10, and now they're looking at the battleground queue times. And other queue times would be lovely, guys. I'm just saying. Let's just address queues as a whole, shall we? Look, I'm not. I'm running out of things to say. I don't want to keep repeating myself. But this is a good thing, and I really hope other people get behind it and really accept this as the great idea that it really is. And I hope Blizzard come up with a great idea to balance out this racials, because it is the biggest issue. The reason that the Alliance have got so many people on their faction now queuing for PvP is because the Alliance racials are so much better for PvP. Gnomes have got a get out of a route free card. PvP is pretty much dominated by humans because of that trinket, because of every man for himself means they can have a second DPS trinket. Darkflight is just another sprint. Give that to a feral druid and they're miles away. You can't kill them because they're stun locking you, and then when they've actually ran out of ability to rape your face, they just sprint off and there's nothing you can do. You can't stop them, you can't root them because they'll just shift out of it. You can't snare them, they'll just power shift out of it. There's no way of stopping that. There are so many issues that you need to look at, as Blizzard needs to really sort of identify where the issue lies, in why the Alliance queue is so high. This is a great way of temporarily fixing it until they can come up with that. And I'm all for it. Like, if you guys think there's something else they could do, put a comment in the comments below. But do it constructively. If you can come up with an idea that Blizzard's going to think, actually, that's not a bad plan, then they'll probably use it, especially if it's something really easy for them to come up with. Like, I'm not saying they're all going to watch this video, because they probably won't. But if we can get enough people thinking about it and putting stuff on the WoW forums, like, hey guys, have you thought of doing this to try and balance out the racial? Enough people say it, enough people do it, then that's what the community's here for, right? They're not going to know what we want unless we tell them. Okay, so rant's over. Hope you enjoyed the video. It was my first, fingers crossed. If you do, please like, comment and subscribe below, and I'll see you around.